think I'm going to take out the Twister. It's just a little too... just a little too unpredictable for our purposes. So we're going to hold off on that. Okay, we're going to head towards the Lyceum and cleanse the Lyceum. But first, we've got a shrine. Nice. Level 35. 35? No. I meant 15. Okay, so we've unlocked a rune for Wave of Force. Impactful Wave repels projectiles, knocks back enemies, and slows them. Sure. Let's just... Oh. So, yeah. We'll equip a rune. Why not? Okay, so now we have a new rune for Ray of Frost called Numb. 10% chance to freeze enemies and increase the slow amount to 80%. No, I don't think so. We don't want Electrocute yet, although we probably will later on. Keep making our way to the Lyceum. Okay, we've found the Lyceum. With it, many, many goatmen. We've entered the Lyceum, the crumbling tower, and now it must be cleansed. Yeah, he was saying something, but then I killed him, so, you know, it happens. Don't you hate that? You know, you're trying to make some rousing speech, and then people kill you.
The bestial hellions are demons that can be summoned from the burning hells with the aid of foul sorcery. They are given to chasing down their foes and attacking them with savage fangs. This usually allows some spare time for their masters to craft their dark spell work and finish off the victim.
So even though we've got a rune that lowers the amount of arcane damage or arcane energy that we use, it's still taking quite a bit, just because their health pools are scaling so fast. Because even though we found a legendary item, these guys are scaling every time we level up. Now that stops once we hit level 70, but still, it's making this very difficult. Okay, so we've disrupted one of the rituals. Looks like there's two more we need to find and stop. So this is just going to connect us over here. Let's see if there's anything to the right worth exploring. Turns out there was a level 16 over here. That's kind of nice. Always wanted to find one of those. Okay. That's a second ritual disrupted. We've also unlocked a slow time bubble, which is kind of fun. Do we want to put that anywhere? I don't think so at this point, but we actually look pretty cool right now. Look kind of like a ninja. I like that. Oh, nice. A lot of defense in that. Oh, and we found our first ring. Nice. And it gave us 19 intelligence. Intelligence, as you might guess, is the primary stat for wizards and witch doctors. Increases damage and increases resistance. So we want as much intelligence as we possibly can. Intelligence is just going to make us better at everything. Literally everything. While I'm thinking of it, let's see what the other objectives are for Chapter 1. Nephilim Rift, socket 5 gems into your gear, raise the blacksmith level, that's why we're doing that, jeweler level, mystic level, and then it wants us to kill a couple of the bosses, as well as reach level 50. So, we're well on our way. Well on our way. Die, skeleton. Die, skeleton. Die, skeleton. Okay, we got an elite pack here. Let's see how we're doing in terms of being able to kill things. Not bad, actually. Obviously, we would like to be faster, but that's not bad. trying to prioritize the melee users, but at the same time, the melee ones are the guys that are just going to keep respawning because of the ritual. So we should probably kill these guys first. Oh boy. Yeah, we're getting a little overwhelmed here. Just a little. Just a smidge. Oh gosh, this guy has jail. The Doom Scholar. What a name. What a name. Ah. Whew. Awesome. We did it, boys. We did it. Okay, that's it for this bounty. And that was one. Let's move on to the next one. Horus, the Night Stalker, Rage of the Damned. Well, now you're dead. Okay, now we just kill 100 enemies. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, we've got Storm Armor unlocked. I think that does AoE damage if memory serves. Let's see. Bathe yourself in electrical energy, periodically shocking a nearby enemy for 175% weapon damage as lightning, lasts 10 minutes. Not bad. We might use that if we get a little more defensive later on. We've also got a new passive ability, Glass Cannon. We unlocked this a few levels ago. Increases all damage done by 15%, but decrease armor resistance by 10%. Not right now, I'm thinking. Not right now. Glass Cannon on hardcore mode is just asking to die. Just asking to die, and I don't think I'm very interested in doing that. Something tells me that's not what I want. So the rune we added to Wave of Force, the Impactful Wave, does turn Wave of Force into a cooldown, which actually for our purposes is pretty good, because we were having trouble fitting it into the rotation anyway. So it's kind of become a bit of a panic button. It allows us to do some decent damage, but it also allows us to push enemies back, and then we can use our Diamond Skin ability if need be. So right now we've got the Frenzy rune on, so it may actually be slightly better to use our primary ability, our signature spell, for single target damage. It looks like it is actually. So we're gonna take advantage of this while we have it. Only thing that sucks is it has travel time. But you know, can't have everything. Okay, these guys are molten, meaning they explode on impact. Let's boost up our arcane energy a little bit. And we got another elite pack here. Use that. Diamond Skin. Some more of that. It's important that we not get stuck while trying to kill these guys, because those explosions hit for a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Boom. Okay, it looks like the main enemy is a frozen type enemy. Now he's a dead type enemy. Fantastic. These are frozen types of enemies. That's that bounty completed. Diablo 3's had a really troubled gaming history. You guys might remember if you were keeping up with gaming news at the time this game came out. It really, really sucked when it came out. I mean, no joke, it was bad. And I don't think there was a single person that said, like, yeah, it's just misunderstood. No, it was pretty awful. And part of the reason for that is that when the game first launched, you actually could sell items that you found on a market and people could pay real-world money for it. Really, really bad idea. Because what happened was people, instead of, you know, being excited about these items they got, now felt like they had to decide between, do I use this item to help me in the game, or do I sell it and make real money? And it ended up becoming just a very toxic environment. Gameplay-wise, you know, the players were just not happy with it. So they took that out, and they did a lot of other changes to the game. You hear that? It's a treasure goblin. This is a menagerist goblin, napper of pets. So we want to stay on this goblin or he's going to run away. And it looks like we can slow him, so we're going to go ahead and slow him. Boom. And as you might expect, treasure goblins drop lots of treasure. So we want to kill those things anytime we see one. Anytime we see one. But some of the other changes they made, like when the game first came out, if you were playing, say, a demon hunter, and you were killing enemies, you might have gear drop that could only be used by a barbarian. And what they were trying to do was encourage people to make alternate characters so that, you know, you would get a drop on the character you were playing and be like, oh, I can use that on my alt character, but really just kind of piss people off because they're like, I'm playing a demon hunter, I don't want gear for a barbarian. And so they took that out and they changed it so that you can still get drops for other characters, but you're much less likely to get those things. And so now, you know, as a wizard, we're mostly getting wizard drops. And so it makes the game feel a lot more meaningful. And so once they made those changes, I think they made those changes around the time Reaper of Souls came out, maybe a little before, the game really took on new life, and it's been going strong ever since. And that's not a small feat to accomplish. To be able to turn a game around that had been universally panned by critics and fans alike, and turn it into this very solid staple in your gaming roster, that's quite an accomplishment. Blizzard did a really great job there. And I think it was very helpful for them. They learned a lot of lessons from those decisions. Got ourselves another elite pack. These guys are surrounded by a lot of guys, so we're going to use this choke point to our advantage and try very hard not to die here. This is actually really pretty bad. I'm going to preemptively use a potion there and then try to, as much as I can, stay back and take out these adds. And then as soon as these guys get close, we're going to pop diamond skin and focus this guy because he's got that jailer property and we don't want that. Awesome. Okay, now we should just be able to clean up, no problem. As the wizard, the jailing property is going to be the most dangerous for us, but especially if they also have the plague, if they have molten, anything that's going to do damage in an area. For us especially, jailer combined with any of those things is going to be extremely dangerous. So in those situations, we have to be very cognizant of our defensive abilities and positioning and making sure we're prioritizing the right enemies and killing them in the right order. Otherwise, we could find ourselves in a lot of trouble. I'm just making sure there's no treasure chests hiding around here. Sometimes there are. How are we doing on space? We're getting a little full. Got some gloves. We've got another source. And, ooh. We've also got this Two-handed mace. I'm going to go ahead and switch this out because we're starting to fall off in damage and we really need something else. Now, normally with legendary items, I would save them, but this, the Barber is like a very common legendary dagger as far as legendaries go, and it's really not worth holding on to. Later on, if we find some abilities, or if we find some legendaries that have special properties to them, we can actually use that to our advantage, but the Barber, not so much. We can pretty well just salvage that and not worry about it. Real quick, I just want to make sure we're not missing any decent stat upgrades. We're not. So we're gonna salvage, and destroying this gives us a Forgotten Soul, which we will use to craft legendary items. I'm gonna go ahead and store these things, and what do we have here? This little thing might grow up to be huge. I have no idea what this thing does. Huh. I wonder. Very interesting. Okay. We've got 2 bounties left to do in Act 1. One of the reasons that you want to go to the different bounties is because the different bounties drop special items. I already hear Treasure Goblin. We're just going to go straight up there and crap-a-doodle. There's a legend. There's an elite pack up here. So in this case, I would much rather live than get the Treasure Goblin. I want the Treasure Goblin, but I'm not going to die for it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. We were able to do both. There are special items that drop from the Haraja caches of every act, I guess is the word I'm looking for, of every act, and you want to get those so that you can use the Harajic Cube, which we'll be getting from that Zoltan Cool NPC later. He's the same guy that we killed in Episode 1, by the way. So let's pick up what the Treasure Goblin dropped, and continue to kill these guys. Okay, we got a protection shrine. That's good. That means that we can not have to worry so much about getting surrounded. So we will definitely be using that to our advantage. We're quickly getting to level 19 here, which is nice. Okay, we got another skill category open. This is Explosive Blast. This is kind of our, it's called the Mastery slot. Think of it like Ultimates. So Explosive Blast is exactly what it sounds like. Does an explosion around us. Boom, like that. So what we should be doing is, if we get surrounded, we should use this and then this. In fact, we may actually consider pulling this off because it doesn't really synergize well at all with what we've got. Easy. At some point, we need to consider going up in difficulty again. Little hesitant to do that, though, because I know from past experience that the jump from hard to expert, I think it is, it's not insignificant. Not insignificant. So we got to be very careful. Alright, we can move on to the last bounty now. Alright, time for another boss, the Skeleton King. You guys will recognize this guy if you've played Heroes of the Storm at all. Longtime viewers will remember I did a video on Bleoric in Heroes of the Storm. It's a pretty cool character. His story in this game is super sad. Super, super sad. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but it is quite something. I'm going to go ahead and pop my... Oh boy, they've got Jailer. That was a lot of damage. Okay, we're going to start using Explosion just to clear out those guys that are spawning around us. Okay, that turned out alright. Okay, so we're making our way in, and I hear another Treasure Goblin. want to take out these pillars as soon as we can. Give us some space as well. Because these pillars are just spawning the skeletons, so we want to take them out as quickly as possible. Okay. Okay. Doing just fine. Act 1 is actually really good for the build that we're using because it allows us to really make use of our abilities, which, you know, are better in hallways. You know, straight line ability. Okay, nice. So we just got a bunch of gems. And you can see that when you pick up a gem, it kind of like vacuums up all the ones that are around. That's another change they made a couple of patches ago. Because they were kind of like, you know, we want you to still pick up all the items, but gems are a pretty common drop later in the game, and so if you're spending all your time just, you know, picking up all of these gems, it kind of loses its impact a little bit. So might as well just pick them all up, and, you know, when you click on something, it should be exciting, was kind of their rationale, and that makes sense to me. So we're still doing a pretty good amount of damage, and we're still, I mean, we're a little squishy, which is expected as a wizard, but we're still fairly survivable. You know, I'm not too worried about getting bursted down right now. So as much as I would like to upgrade our difficulty, I think unless we get a really rare drop, we just can't really afford to do that. And aside from that, even though we would get more experience, if we're not killing things, we're not getting that experience. And so I think this is about as fast as we're going to be able to kill things and get experience and stay alive and all that stuff. Alright. Crypt of the Skeleton King. Let's see how we do against Leoric. We're just going to focus on trying to kite around him a little bit. May not always be that simple. And he does spawn in skeletons and adds and things like that. The nice thing is that we do freeze him with our ice armor whenever he hits us, so that's going to really decrease the amount of damage he does. But we still have to avoid that because there's a cooldown on how often you can freeze an enemy. And that wave of force is really doing work for us. This should be it right here. Not bad. It's got our last piece of armor. This is just a rare amulet, nothing too fancy, but does give us some vitality and life per hit. So we'll equip that, and now, I'm sorry, it's not our last piece, we still need a ring, but amulets are hard to come by, so that's a very good thing. And that's level 20 for us. Not bad. Ooh. We just got legendary shoulders. Let's see what we've got here. This here lets you kind of, whenever you get a legendary piece of armor or a weapon or something, they all have to be identified. You can right-click them to identify them, and if you have lots of them, you can actually click on the Book of Cain, and it'll identify all the ones in your inventory. Just kind of a little shortcut. So we got Pauldrons of the Skeleton King. That's nice. That's actually really nice. When receiving fatal damage, there's a chance that you are instead restored to 25% of maximum life and cause nearby enemies to flee in fear. Now, it's just a chance, okay? So this isn't going to be changing the way we play. However, it's possible that this will save us and that we will live to fight another day if we get into a hairy situation. So, oh, and we got our first piece of armor that has a slot in it. So we can socket in a gem. So we want to socket in the topaz? Yeah. So the way that gems work is each of them you know, there's different colors and they all do different things, and they do different effects based on where they're slotted. Typically for weapons, the only things you're ever going to be slotting in are rubies or emeralds, because that's either going to give you critical hit damage or damage. In armor like this, you're typically going to want to pick whatever is closest to your class's main stat. So in this case, we want to go with intelligence. If we slotted the topaz into a helm, it would reduce resource costs by 3.5%. If we slotted it into a weapon, it would increase thorn damage. So we're going to go ahead and slot that in, and we just got an intelligence boost, which also boosted our defense and our toughness. Not bad. Doesn't look like there's anything else here really worth equipping, so we're going to go ahead and salvage. And then let's see real quick what we've got. It might be time to switch up our build a little bit. Shock Pulse just unlocked Fire Bolts, which does more damage per bolt. Spectral Blades got Flame Blades. Basically does exactly what it sounds like. Increases damage of fire spells by 1% up to a maximum of 30%, but only for 5 seconds, so that sounds very situational. We're not going to use that. Ray of Frost, we've got Arcane Orbit on the orb. Create 4 arcane orbs that orbit you, exploding for damage as arcane when enemies get close. That's pretty cool. We may actually replace Explosive Blast with that. Arcane Torrent, we got Flame Ward. You take 15% less damage from attacks while channeling. Every second you channel increases this amount by 5% up to a maximum total of 25% damage reduction. And Arcane Torrent's damage becomes fire. So if we need something that's a little more defensive, we may actually go for that. Diamond Skin, we've got Prism. Reduce the arcane power cost of all skills by 9 while Diamond Skin is active. Very situational. Cold Snap on Frost Nova. Reduce the cooldown to 7.5 seconds. Increase the freeze duration to 3 seconds. And then Slow Time, we don't have any runes unlocked just yet. We just got Magic Weapon, where we can increase our damage by a flat 10% increase. That is really good. In fact, in the late game, we will probably be running this all the time. Still no runes for this, won't get anything till 24 there, but we did get another slot for a passive skill, and that's nice. Prodigy, when we cast a signature spell, you gain 5 arcane power. That's compared to... Oh, it doesn't look like it actually gives you arcane power, it's just free to cast. So if we want to boost our ability to gain arcane power, we could go with this. I'm actually just going to slot in Power Hungry just to get a little more damage output. What did we miss here? Energy Twister got Mistral Breeze, reduces the casting power to 25, and its damage turns into cold. Still too unpredictable. So I think at this point we're going to switch out Arcane or Explosive Blast because it's just not all that helpful, and we're going to put in Arcane Orb as an orbit, and that's going to be a good thing there. So we can just run that, and anything that gets close gets exploded. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.